Well, Cyril Ramaphosa will address his first May Day rally as president of the ANC and as head of government. Chaotic scenes dominated Cosatu's Workers' Day event last year. Then President Jacob Zuma was rejected by the federation's members. Let's get you some perspective on the story now and on Ramaphosa's relationship with workers. Political analyst Thapelo Tselapedi joins us now via our Skype line. Thapelo, thanks for your time this morning. The president has had a rocky relationship with workers, particularly in the wake of the Marikana massacre. As he addresses them today, how does his relationship with workers stand?
Look, I think it's obviously going to be interesting given his past beyond the Marikana issue, his involvement obviously in NUM, and his involvement obviously then in the ANC as well. Obviously, he would have to, I think, as he has done previously, throw an olive branch to the unions, not just to Cosatu, but also to SAFTU. But whether that olive branch is going to be in the form of materially or symbolically, obviously, I think SAFTU is looking for, to an extent, a symbolic gesture in the sense that they would like to form part of the NED-like conversations as well. So I think that would go in some way in terms of resolving the tension, or at least mending the tension somewhat between himself and the workers. But certainly he has a lot on his work.
Thapelo, it's a difficult labour environment that the president is delivering or will be delivering this speech in. It's a difficult economic climate as well. We just think about all the strikes that have been happening, the bus strike in its second week. We've got the looming public servants strike as well. Surely what workers will be wanting to hear is something in, as you say, a material form.
Yeah, look, I think the economy obviously is not doing great. There's a lot of shedding of jobs when you look at the farm workers obviously in the Western Cape. When you are looking at just the protests as well in the Northwest, as well, you've just talked about the bus protests and obviously what we are going into the public sector jobs protests or public sector protests. So I think it's going to be interesting as to how he handles all of those things. But I think what's important for me right now is how sort of a political logic is going to trump the economic logic. He has to mend political relationships, obviously, here with the unions that we just talked about. I think Cosatu is fractured as well with SAFTU having, in a sense, broken away, looking at the people who formed SAFTU in the first place. So he has to mend those relations before also mending sort of the economic aspects. I think, in a sense, he has to press on with the stakeholder politics that I think has been a mainstay for his presidency inside the ANC and obviously then towards the state. And he'll have to make sure that both unions are able to make sure that those unions are able to make sure that there isn't any ruckus between themselves as he mends the economy.
And Thapelo, of course, all of these things are all the more important because we're in an election year.
Look, yes, I think for the ANC, the big one is going to have to be in August how the parliamentary report back on land is going to be resolved, given some of the statements that have come out from the people who sit on the parliamentary committee. It's not going to bode well because clearly some of them, it's open whether they're going to change the constitutional framework on Section 26 or not. But I think that will be a big decider. It will certainly be a big decider, obviously, for the unions, how they're going to deal with the issues of wages, how they're going to deal with the issues of public protest. That will certainly, obviously, if this continues in the way that it has continued, as we saw with last week's SAFTU's protest, it will certainly dent the image of the ANC moving forward towards next year's national elections. So, like I said before, Cyril Ramaphosa has a lot on his plate to work on.
Thapelo, and of course, who can forget the last May Day rally by Cosatu? They hardly even had a real May Day rally, with it being cut short very abruptly. President Jacob Zuma effectively booed off stage. It speaks to the kind of power that workers do wield in the country.
Yes, I mean, at some point, even he was told not to address Cosatu events as well. This is obviously former President Zuma. But I think, obviously, it's a different environment now. There's a lot of discussion around New Dawn. And last year, I think, in a sense, is almost a different age, so to speak. So I think with the New Dawn, there is a possibility for him, again, to extend an olive branch to make sure that both unions are able to sort of keep things tight as he mends the issue around the economy, as he plugs a lot of people who are not working into places of employment. So I think, yes, there is a lot of expectations on the side of unions, but I do think, given what we've seen in the last 2 months that he's taken on the presidency of the Republic, he may be able to throw, I think, again, an olive branch to them.
So he's delivering the keynote address at Cosatu's main rally, and we are bringing our viewers live visuals from Port Elizabeth there to the right of your screen. Those are live visuals of that rally getting underway ahead of the official event in Port Elizabeth. Thapelo, how does the president balance his address at Cosatu's main rally versus also speaking to the supporters in the camp of SAFTU, which are also bringing in the numbers?
Look, like I said, I think his main priority, again, as the president of the ANC, is to mend relations of the alliance broadly. And obviously there would have to be sort of articulations towards that. I mean, you have to bring back Cosatu when at least going to national elections for next year, they're going to need Cosatu. I think part of the issues around local government elections and the performance of the ANC has been somewhat to that strained relationship with Cosatu. So I think that's quite important. With the SAFTU one, he's going to address it obviously in his position as state president, because again, he has to revive the issue of stakeholder politics or consensus building as part of the sort of mainstay of the state or government for that matter. So I think he would have to, be able to grapple with both institutions. As to how he does that, we'll see. Let us see and let's wait for the speech.
Yeah, absolutely. We'll be listening to that all-important speech. Political analyst Thapelo Tselapedi joining us from Grahamstown ahead of Cyril Ramaphosa, addressing his first May Day rally as president of the ANC.